Okay, imagine this, Leo.
I'm imagining. What stressful scenario are we jumping into today?
You feel terrible, right? Maybe a sore throat, maybe a terrible headache. You know, the kind of pain where you just want to curl up?
Oh, I know that feeling well. The worst.
And now you have to go to the doctor, but the doctor only speaks English.
Uh-oh. That suddenly makes the headache much worse, actually.
Exactly. It's one thing to order a coffee, but describing sharp, throbbing pain, that feels impossible.
That is the ultimate stress test for any language learner. You need to be fast, clear, and accurate all at once.
Welcome back to the English Blend, everybody. I'm Mia.
And I'm Leo.
Today, we are diving deep into how to survive that high-pressure situation at the doctor's office.
It's a place where language isn't just about fun conversations. It's about your well-being. We're going to give you the exact tools you need to get your point across.
Because even if your grammar isn't perfect, communication in this moment is crucial.
Let's talk about those necessary words, the common symptoms, and how to navigate appointments and prescriptions.
Ready to get started? So, grab your coffee and maybe a tissue, just in case.
Let's go.
So the first step is usually booking the appointment, right? That's where the language test begins.
Totally. You call the office, and the receptionist often sounds like they're talking at 100 miles an hour.
The pressure is immediately on. You need to ask, can I make an appointment?
Yes, or maybe, do you have any openings this week? And the key word there is opening. It just means an available slot or time.
And they will ask you why you are coming in. This is where we need to master describing basic symptoms. Not perfectly, but effectively.
Instead of saying, my head hurts very much, which is okay, try using stronger, more specific vocabulary. You could say, I have a throbbing headache.
Throb means it beats rhythmically with pain. Or maybe you have a terrible cough.
Right. And you might say, I'm experiencing a terrible, dry cough that won't go away.
Or maybe something simpler, like, I feel run down. This is a great idiom. It means you are exhausted and slightly sick.
See? That's simple vocabulary, but incredibly effective. Now, let's consider different body parts. If your stomach is bothering you, what do you say?
You might say, I have an upset stomach, or I feel nauseous.
Nauseous. That's a fantastic A2, B2 word. It means you feel like you might vomit.
If you hurt your back, you wouldn't say, my back has pain. You'd say, I have a sharp pain in my lower back. The word sharp describes the type of pain.
Or a dull ache. Dull means the pain is constant, but not extremely intense.
We are already building confidence just by knowing those simple adjectives.
Exactly. But let's pause here, Leo, because this brings us to a huge learning concept. Fluency versus accuracy.
The classic dilemma that blocks so many students, especially when they are standing in front of the doctor and feeling judged.
When you're at the doctor's office, which one do you think matters most? Perfect grammar, accuracy, or getting your message understood, fluency?
Definitely fluency. If I say, I having terrible headache 3 days, the doctor understands the core problem. If I spend 5 minutes trying to perfectly conjugate the verb to have in the continuous past tense, the doctor might worry I'm passing out.
Precisely. Fluency is the ability to speak smoothly, quickly, and get your point across. It's about communication flow.
And accuracy is using correct grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. We often focus too much on accuracy, right?
We do, and focusing too much on accuracy, especially in high-stress situations like the doctor's office, is what we call the grammar block.
The grammar block. Sounds painful, like a terrible mental toothache.
It is. It's when you have the words, but you stop yourself mid-sentence because you are internally correcting a verb tense or a plural noun.
So you freeze up. The doctor is waiting, and you can't get the words out because you were worried about saying, he go, instead of he goes.
And the result? You stop talking. You say nothing, and the communication fails. The doctor doesn't know if you need antibiotics or just rest.
The goal is communication, not perfection. That is the core theme of the English blend.
Let's expand on this idea of the grammar block because it's so common. Learners worry, if I make a mistake, will I sound unintelligent?
Or, will the doctor dismiss my symptoms because my English is broken?
But think about the doctor's goal. Their goal is to diagnose you and help you feel better. They are listening for key words: pain, location, duration, severity.
They are not grading your use of the present perfect continuous tense. They are listening for substance.
We need to give ourselves permission to make mistakes. Mistakes are just proof that you are trying.
Let's take an example. You could try to say, my condition has been gradually worsening over the last 4 days.
That's accurate. Beautiful grammar. But if you hesitate for 10 seconds trying to pull that phrase out, the doctor has lost connection.
Instead, just say, getting worse, 4 days, pain here, and point to the area. That's fluent communication. You get your point across immediately.
And that phrase, get your point across, means to successfully communicate your idea or message to another person. It's about impact, not elegance.
If you get your point across, you have succeeded in that interaction.
Now, Leo, let's talk about a short story that illustrates this, something relatable.
Perfect. A cultural note on communication.
A few years ago, I had a friend who moved to a new country, and they had a terrible flu. They went to the pharmacy, not even the doctor, and they needed cold medicine.
Pharmacies can be tough too. Pharmacists often ask very specific questions.
Exactly. My friend tried to explain their symptoms using perfect textbook phrases. They kept saying, I am suffering from acute rhinitis and severe lethargy.
Wow, very academic.
Yes, but the pharmacist looked totally confused. Because in everyday spoken English, especially when describing a simple pool, nobody uses acute rhinitis.
They just say, my nose is running, or I have a stuffed nose.
Right. The pharmacist finally asked, is your nose running? And my friend said, yes, running. They had achieved 100% accuracy, but 0% fluency. The complex vocabulary blocked the simple connection.
So the lesson is, sometimes the simplest language is the most fluent and effective.
It's counterintuitive, but true. Focus on high-frequency, simple verbs and nouns.
Now that we've established that fluency wins, especially in scenarios like the doctor's office, let's talk practical steps. How do our listeners stop worrying about grammar and start speaking fluidly?
We have 3 really effective, practical tips that bridge that gap between knowing grammar rules and actually using them under pressure.
Tip number 1, which is massive for achieving fluency: massive listening.
This sounds obvious, but it's not just passive listening. It's focused, continuous listening to natural content.
Think of it like this. A doctor doesn't just learn medical terms from a book. They listen to other doctors, nurses, and patients talk all day. They absorb the rhythm.
You need to expose your brain to English as much as possible. Podcasts, TV shows, our show, obviously. The more you hear common phrases, the less you have to construct them grammatically.
You stop thinking, is it I am sick or I sickness? Because you've heard I am sick 1,000 times. It just sounds right.
And this is especially true for the doctor's office. Listen to role plays. Listen to scenarios describing symptoms. That's massive listening tailored to your goal.
Tip number 2, learn in chunks. This is crucial for overcoming the grammar block.
What do we mean by chunks, Leo?
A chunk is a group of words that naturally go together, like a fixed phrase or an idiom. Instead of learning the word get and the word over separately, learn the chunk to get over a cold.
Yes, if you learn the chunk, you don't have to worry about the grammar inside the chunk. The grammar is already correct.
At the doctor's office, don't learn single symptoms, learn chunks, like, I've had this for 3 days. It keeps me up at night. Or, is this contagious?
Those are ready-made sentences. When you're stressed, you don't build a house brick by brick, you use prefabricated walls. Chunks are prefabricated walls of language.
Let's practice some Dr. Chunks now. Repeat after us, listeners.
I need a prescription.
How often should I take this?
Does this have any side effects?
If you memorize those 3 chunks, you've already had a successful interaction at the pharmacy. You didn't worry about conjugation, you just repeated the chunk.
And tip number 3, which directly targets the pressure cooker of conversation, the 3-second rule.
I love the 3-second rule. It's like a conversation timer.
If someone asks you a question, the doctor says, "What brings you in today?" You have a maximum of 3 seconds to start speaking.
If you wait longer than 3 seconds, your brain enters correction mode. The grammar block engages, you start mentally translating and revising.
So after the 3rd second, even if you can only say, "pain," "here," "stop," you must say something. Don't let the silence drag.
The 3-second rule forces you into fluency. It prioritizes movement over perfection. The doctor would rather hear broken English quickly than wait for perfect English that never comes.
That's a great point. Quick, broken communication is always better than delayed, perfect silence.
It forces you to embrace the idea that making a mistake is not the end of the world.
Ooh, perfect transition to our language focus. It's not the end of the world.
This is a fantastic idiom. It means that something isn't as catastrophic or serious as you think.
If you make a grammar mistake talking to the doctor, it's not the end of the world. The world won't stop spinning. You didn't hurt anyone. You just made a small slip, and the doctor still understood you. We use this phrase all the time in casual conversation. I forgot my umbrella, but hey, it's not the end of the world. I can buy a cheap one.
Another super useful phrase when you are trying to communicate under pressure is hit a wall.
Ah, yes. When I'm trying to speak English and suddenly my brain just stops, I feel like I hit a wall.
That's the feeling. It means you have reached an obstacle or a point where you cannot continue, usually due to exhaustion, frustration, or difficulty.
For example, I studied vocabulary for 2 hours, but then I hit a wall and couldn't remember anything else.
So if you are talking to the doctor and you suddenly forget the word for fever, you hit a wall. What do? You revert to simple language. You use a chunk.
If I hit a wall, I just point to my forehead and say, I am hot.
Perfect fluency in action. And we already talked about our 3rd key phrase, which is the goal, get your point across.
If you focus on getting your point across, you automatically shift your focus from accuracy to communication. That is the mindset shift needed for fluency.
Now, let's go back into the doctor's office scenario to really lock in these chunks and tips. We're going to break down the actual appointment into micro steps.
This will be a kind of slow motion role play, focusing on the vocabulary we need. Step 1, checking in.
You walk up to the receptionist desk. You need to state your name and the reason you are there.
Chunk. Hello, I have an appointment booked under your name.
Or maybe, I am here for my annual checkup.
Annual checkup means a yearly visit to make sure everything is okay.
The receptionist might ask you to fill out some paperwork. Don't hit a wall here. Paperwork is just forms you need to complete.
Step 2, meeting the doctor. This is the highest stress moment.
The doctor will usually start with, "So, what brings you in today?" Or, "How can I help you?"
Your 3-second rule starts now. Don't translate. Use your chunks.
Instead of worrying about the perfect past tense, use the simple chunk. I haven't been feeling well since Monday.
Now, let's detail symptoms. We need to go beyond the basics. What if you have allergies?
You might say, my eyes are very itchy and watery.
Itchy means you want to scratch them. Watery means they are producing liquid.
What if the doctor asks you about your history? Have you had this before?
You need the simple chunk. No, this is the first time. Or, yes, I had this last year. Again, simple, direct communication.
Let's consider different types of pain that might block fluency.
If the pain moves, you might say it's a shooting pain, like a quick shot.
If the pain is constant and annoying, we said it was dull.
If the pain is sharp and hurts more when you move, we call it scabbing pain. That's a strong word.
If the doctor presses on an area and it hurts, that area is tender. That's another great specific word.
Knowing these 3 or 4 adjectives, sharp, dull, shooting, tender, helps you get your point across about the severity of the issue.
Step 3, understanding the diagnosis and treatment. This is where the medical jargon can really make you hit a wall.
The doctor might use complex terms, but you have permission to ask them to simplify. This is fluent communication too.
Use this chunk. Can you explain that in simpler terms, please?
Or, so I just need a rest? You are summarizing and checking their understanding.
If they write a prescription, make sure you understand the instructions. Ask for clarification. They might say, take as needed. That's a chunk, meaning only take it when you feel the symptoms.
Or they might say twice daily. That means 2 times a day.
Don't leave the office without understanding this part. Your life depends on it. Well, maybe not your life, but your recovery. Remember, making a mistake here is not the end of the world, but clarifying is essential.
Let's circle back to our tips, Mia, because they are the mechanism for achieving this confidence. We really want our listeners to internalize these practices.
Absolutely. Massive listening. We can't overstate how important this is. Think of it as immersion without leaving your house.
If you spend 30 minutes every day listening to English content that is slightly above your comfortable level, A2 listeners should try B1, B1 listeners should try B2, your brain starts recognizing patterns.
For doctor's visits specifically, find YouTube channels that do medical role plays. Listen to them until the rhythm of the conversation is totally familiar. You are loading the chunks directly into your memory.
Let's focus on the chunks again. This is the most efficient way to achieve fluency. Why build every sentence from scratch when English speakers already have established ways of saying things? Think about apologizing. Do native speakers say, I apologize for the error which I performed?
No, they say, my bad, or oops, sorry about that. These are chunks.
In the doctor's office, we need chunks for questions. Don't try to construct the complex question structure.
Chunk, will this clear up quickly? Chunk, should I avoid certain foods? Chunk, do I need a follow-up appointment?
If you have these chunks preloaded, you bypass the grammar processing center in your brain. It becomes automatic speech. That is the definition of fluency.
And finally, that amazing 3-second rule. It is the bravery injection you need.
Yes, if you start speaking within 3 seconds, you are forcing yourself to focus on the message, on getting your point across, and not on the form.
And if you hit a wall after the 3 seconds, you can always revert to simple words. I need water. Pill. The doctor is smart. They will piece it together.
That's the key takeaway, listeners. Your primary job is to communicate your urgent needs. If your verb tense is wrong, it's not the end of the world.
We hear from so many students who only speak English in their heads. They can write perfect essays, but they freeze up in the cafe or at the doctor's office.
That's the grammar block winning. We need to prioritize real-world communication.
Fluency is the muscle and accuracy is the polish. You need the muscle to stand up before you worry about shining the shoes.
And once you start using those fluent chunks, your accuracy actually improves over time naturally because you are repeating correct patterns.
Let's review some common symptoms one more time, but this time with common doctor responses, just to embed the listening practice.
Excellent idea. I'll be the patient, you be the doctor.
Okay, I'm putting on my stethoscope.
Doctor, I have a terrible migraine.
A migraine is a very severe headache, listeners. Doctor responds, when did the migraine start and is the pain localized to one side?
I hit a wall because I don't know localized, so I use simple words. Started yesterday, pain all over head, but worst here, near my eye.
Patient did a great job getting their point across. Doctor response, I see. I'll prescribe you a pain reliever. Take 1 pill every 6 hours as needed.
Okay, next symptom. I have terrible insomnia.
Insomnia means difficulty sleeping. Doctor response, Are you experiencing stress, or is the difficulty physical?
I don't know the word for physical. I'm hitting a wall. I revert to simple. I am tired, but when I get in bed, my brain keeps going and going.
That is perfectly fluent communication. You got the point across. It's not the end of the world that you didn't know the perfect adjective. Doctor response: try some over-the-counter sleep aids for a few nights, and avoid caffeine after lunch.
Let's look at a final difficult vocabulary scenario. Injury.
Say you fall and twist your ankle. You go to the doctor.
I would say, I sprained my ankle yesterday.
Sprained is a good word for twisting a joint. Or if it's swollen and purple, you could use a chunk. My ankle is really swollen and it's bruised. Swollen means it's bigger than normal. Bruised means it's discolored, often blue or purple.
The doctor might ask, "Can you bear weight on it?"
Bear weight. That's a tricky chunk. It means, can you stand on it?
If you hit a wall, just point at your leg and shake your head no. That's the most fluent action you can take.
This whole episode is about replacing fear with function.
Function is fluency. Perfection is paralysis.
We need to remember those 3 core tips: massive listening, learning in chunks, and the 3-second rule. Practice those specific chunks we mentioned for booking, explaining symptoms, and understanding prescriptions.
And remember those powerful phrases. Focus on getting your point across. When you feel frustrated, recognize that you just hit a wall, take a breath, and use simpler words.
And most importantly, if you make a mistake, if you forget a word, remember it's not the end of the world. It's part of the process.
We hope this makes the thought of visiting a doctor or having a high-stakes conversation feel a little less intimidating.
Confidence is half the battle. Knowing the right chunks is the other half.
That was a great talk. We covered a stressful scenario, but offered some calm, practical tools.
Yes, and these tools apply to any scenario, whether you're talking to a doctor, ordering food, or giving a presentation. Fluency always wins.
Keep practicing those chunks every day. Even 5 minutes of massive listening a day makes a huge difference.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the English Blend.
Next week, we are talking about how to handle awkward situations at a wedding. Lots of useful vocabulary for small talk.
See you in the next episode of the English Blend.
Bye for now.
Stay healthy and practice your chunks.